Good afternoon, this is UE News at 2. Breaking news, a young boy's torso has been found at Shearwater Lake near Longleat. More details will be coming through as we report live at the scene with Jessica Davies. As a general warning, this is a highly sensitive topic, so young viewers should not be watching.
Good afternoon. I'm reporting live at the scene where a group of runners made a horrific discovery this morning. In this seemingly tranquil place, the runners noticed what they thought was a floating pair of orangey red shorts in the lake behind me. However, upon closer inspection, they then saw that it was actually a boy. A runner immediately ran into the water to get this poor boy out of the water. But then he discovered that it was indeed just a torso of the body that remained. A runner then told me, "Never before have I seen something so horrific. There was no blood in the water. We thought it was just a child in difficulty. We were wrong, so wrong." The torso, which had all 4 limbs removed, including the head, has subsequently been sent off for post-mortem. The police are calling out for anyone with any information to phone them, it could be anonymously, to 101. There are so many unanswered questions. Who is this boy? Why was the body in the water, and why was it just his torso that remains? And who committed this horrific demonic crime?
Is it thought that there is actually a link between the case of the demonic ritual crime that occurred on the 21st September 2011 to a boy that the police named Adam?
The horrific crime does seem all too similar. It is too early to say that if it is indeed similar to the ritual crime like the Adam case, or if it was just a copycat murder. The Adam case is of course an ongoing investigation in which a small boy's torso was discovered near the Tower Bridge in central London in the Thames. His arms, legs and head had been removed with skillful precision, however just his genitals remained as well. His lower intestine contained a highly unusual mix of plant extracts, traces of toxic calibre beans and clay particles containing flecks of pure gold. He was wearing orangey red shorts as well. Forensic tests showed that he was from the Benin city of Nigeria. It is thought that he was smuggled to the UK solely for this horrific ritual murder.
Why would this evil murder happen? Surely it is an act of Satan.
Of course, it is all hearsay over what exactly happened in the Adams case. Dr. Hoskins, who is a senior lecturer at Bath Spa University, who specialises in African religion, stated that it was clear that Adam's killing was indeed a sacrifice. He said the particular colour of shorts and disposal of the torso in the flowing river suggested that it was a sacrifice in which the life force was used to transfer some sort of power. However, it looks like a deviant variety of Western African religion that is done to gain power. Home Office pathologists think that it may have been a mutilation linked to South Africa in some way. The ancestral gods of the Yoruba people, which is Nigeria's second largest ethnic group. Oshun, a Yoruba river goddess, is associated with orange, which was the colour of the shorts. However, since he still had his genitals and is not circumcised, leaving his genitals intact did not seem consistent with typical mutilkillings. His internal organs would also have been taken. Advisors to the Home Office believe that he may have been sacrificed to one of the 400 Oshia gods.
Of course, it's important to the viewers at home to know what actually is a ritual crime or ritual abuse.
David Frankfurter defined ritual abuse in his book The Satanic Ritual Abuse Panic in 2003 to refer to repetitive or systematic sexual, physical or psychological abuse of children by adults as part of a cult or satanic worship. It consists of actual or simulating killing or mutilation of animals, the actual simulation, killing or mutilation of people, forced ingestion of real or simulated human bodily fluids, which could be excrement or flesh, or forced sexual activity, as well as involving severe physical pain or humiliation. Frequently, these experiences employ real or staged features of a deviant occult or ritual practice, but this is not always the case. The groups that participate in ritual abuse and crime are hierarchical. They elevate and empower a priesthood whilst exploiting the other initiates and the faithful for their personal gain. The chantic type of evil ritual assumes that rituals are procedures that lead to erotic or homicidal ecstasy. The formalistic type seems to deny any emotionality whatsoever, often emphasizing the cold calculations of the leaders. The formalistic model of evil ritual came to employ brainwashing and the broader conspiracies that brainwashing techniques were popular feared to serve as in the cult structure, which was very common after World War II, with those rumours of brainwashing, of course. One might say that the absence of any evidence for such satanistic cults or rituals as abuse experts allegedly places particular stark relief the terms ritual negative associations in modern culture. The definitions distill perceptions of ritual as an act that satanic cults commonly engage in.
How can the viewers actually identify a Satanist? It is important that we all unite against this horrific abuse so that it becomes an uncommon occurrence.
There is not a specific way that you can identify a Satanist who will commit ritual abuse. They're not usually forthcoming that they are regularly committing a crime, of course. So they could be anywhere, they could be one in any of the communities who commits such an act. Traditional Satanists are proposed to be highly organised, international and a secret cult network. They actively engage in a variety of criminal activities including arson, ritual abuse, sexual abuse, incest, kidnapping, child pornography and ritual murder, which can involve mutilation, dismemberment and occasionally cannibalism. However, Dawn Perlmutter, in her book Religious Terrorism and Ritualistic Crimes, argues that satanic ritual violence only exists as either a form of urban myth or in the minds of modern-day witch hunters. There are supposedly two types of Satanists, according to Melton in the Encyclopedia of American Religions. The Sickies, which is the disconnected group who employ Satan worship to cover a variety of sexual, sadomasochistic, clandestine, psychopathic and illegal activities. The group is characterised by lack of theology, disconnectedness and short life, and informality of meetings. Usually they are only discovered after the incident that destroys them as a group. And the other type is the public group that actually takes Satanism as a religion seriously.
How would someone even get into this? And moreover, why would they? What is the purpose of a ritual crime and abuse that subsequently occurs, if it even has one?
Well, some claim that the secret network of those who are involved in such a crime and commit other satanic ritual abuse consists of intergenerational family clans. It is done really, other than the transfer of power and things that I've mentioned earlier and will subsequently mention, the ritual torture and sexual abuse of children is done supposedly to program children into reverse good and evil. The aim is to brainwash the children into the ideology of Satan worship. In their satanic worship rituals, these criminals supposedly sometimes kill and sacrifice infants that are actually born to be impregnated, which they call breeders. In the book Ritual Abuse and Recover, survivors' personal accounts in 1995, one woman's recovered memory was the following. I was carried to the tall bench where gibberish was spoken by the 4 robed adults around me. Rather than water sprinkled, a small, black, wriggling cocker spaniel was held over me and disemboweled with a dagger-like instrument. The long white taper was lit and ceremoniously held over me, the dripping the wax carefully onto each of my nipples. It was then inserted, still lit, into my vagina. In this way, I was welcomed into the faith.
A viewer at home has just asked us a question through our phone lines. Jane from Exeter says, how can it be a myth? I can recall high rates of satanic ritual abuse happening during the 1980s and 1990s. There was practically new people announcing they experienced ritual abuse as a child every single day.
Good question, Jane. During the 1980s and 1990s, panic did spread, not just through the UK, but also through the US. The rumours of extremely high rates of satanic ritual abuse was spread through the evangelical Christians, clinical psychologists who are members of the American Psychological Association found almost 3,000 cases reported by the 802 psychotherapists who have said they have seen at least one case of student ritual abuse. Claims about ritual abuse started to frequently occur. In 1994, a national survey reported in Redbook magazine found that 70% of Americans believed that at least some of the people who claimed that they were abused by satanic cults as children and subsequently had their memories repressed for years are telling the truth. Jean Lefortine conducted a 3-year inquiry in 1994 on the extent and nature of organised and ritual abuse. There was 211 cases in the UK allegedly having organised abuse. 86 cases of alleged ritual abuse were during the 1980s and 1991 in England, and 8% of these were sex abuse involving ritual abuse. Most of these cases actually involved very poor people. By demonising the marginal poor and linking them to unknown Satanists turns intractable cases of abuse into manifestations of evil. Human sacrifice was only alleged in 35 cases, although none of them could actually be proved. The use of ceremonial robes was allegedly used in 28 cases. People are reluctant to accept that patients, even those classed as social failures, will harm their own children, and even invite others to do so, but the involvement with the devil explains it. The notion that unknown, powerful leaders control the cult revives the old myth of dangerous strangers. Demonising the marginal poor and linking them to unknown Satanists turns intractable cases of abuse into manifestations of evil.
How does someone actually find out that they've been a victim of ritual abuse if their memories have been suppressed?
To report and often discover that you are a victim of ritual abuse as a child, an adult undergoes memory recovery techniques which can involve hypnosis, guided imagery, and visual exercises. There could be a stream of consciousness daily journal writing, interpreting dreams as the message from the unconscious, and interpreting physical symptoms as bodily memories, and interpreting unconscious memories in patients' drawings. However, Memory techniques can create false memories due to the therapist's suggestion. Jean Le Fontaine found that interviews with children were poorly done. They were frequent and direct and aggressive questions were asked. This technique has actually been shown to implant memories into the minds of young children of abuse that never happened. He concluded that no evidence actually exists for satanic ritual abuse in England. 3 cases involved child molesters were found in which the perpetrators pretended to be Satanists in order to better control their child victims.
So what is false memory syndrome? Jess, can you hear me? I'm sorry, it appears we're having some technical difficulties. If you wait just 1 second as we try to get through. Thank you. What false memory syndrome is, it sort of occurs when the interaction between the therapist and patients used in the techniques for memory recovery. Patients respond to subtle suggestions from their therapist by offering accounts of satanic ritual abuse. They think it will please their therapist. The human memory is subject to suggestion, fancy, social conditions and cultural influences. The patient gradually comes to believe that their account of satanic ritual abuse are their own genuine memories of past events, resulting in the false memory. So is there anything that we can do to stop another moral panic from happening? And what was the actual process of the moral panic that did occur in the 1980s and 1990s?
Claims about ritual child abuse by satanic cults began to be uncovered incredibly rapidly during this moral panic. The oldest known cult survivor account was published in 1980 in a book called Michelle Remembers. There was satanic ritual abuse testimonies, accusations and rumours that spread rapidly throughout the UK and the US during the 1980s and then in the 1990s. The term moral panic was created by Stanley Cohen. Cohen used the term to identify a form of collective behaviour characterised by widely circulating rumour stories dispersed by the mass media, which exaggerated the threat proposed by some newly identified types of moral deviance. Cohen defined a moral panic as a form of collective behaviour in which condition, episode or person or group emerges to become defined as a threat to societal values and interests. Its nature is presented in a stylistic and media. The moral barricades are manned by editors, bishops, politicians and other right-thinking people. Socially accredited experts pronounce their diagnosis and solutions. Ways of coping are evolved or more often resorted to. The conditions then suddenly disappear. For example, in the case of satanic ritual abuse, the psychiatrists and therapists suddenly had the answer. They found a way to cure people, to get rid of the abuse that they suffered. With the discovery of Adam, who became referred to by the press as the Thames torso boy, news articles became frenzied. It was continuing on for many years after it happened. Titles included "Victim of Voodoo Ritual" in the Daily Mail, "Thames torso boy was sacrificed," The Guardian, and "Boy Adam finally gets a face," which happened in this daily live. The mass media circulated and widely dispersed those news stories and exaggerated the threat posed by ritual abuse. How we could prevent another moral panic occurring as a result of the crime that happened recently. We could carefully report this news story instead of using extreme terms like demonic, satanistic crime, malicious. We do not know exactly what has happened here. We shouldn't exaggerate the facts after all. It could just be a copycat murder with absolutely no ritual connections.
Okay, on that note, thank you for watching UE News at 2. Goodbye.